every other. So I like that as well. That's what I like, having different types of things.
Cool. Do you want to sit around for the next question?
I'm waiting for something.
Throw him off. Or maybe you want to call somebody. Or you can call someone. Call somebody. Who are you going to call? Have you ever thought about accessibility? Sorry, maybe I should wait till it quiets down again. Have you ever thought about accessibility in any game you have worked on? For instance, visually impaired or special controls for people with special needs?
Yes, but I haven't been able to. So on previous products, previous companies, either me and others around me have brought it up, but it's not been done, which is one of the things I regret not pushing harder for. It's something that I wish we would have put in titles I've worked on before. Not saying that, I would have wanted that.
Cool.
Well, we thought about it, but I mean, it's nice. We didn't.
I haven't really been in a position where I can push something like that. The things I can push, and I think I don't want to speak for you, Malin, but something we're
maybe you should
talking about quite a lot at Lionbite is diversity. It's not really related, but I mean, we need diversity as well. That's the only thing, really.
Yeah, but also like when it comes to design things, you can't. For example, a lot of people are colorblind, so a lot of times we actually try to use symbols as well as color if that is necessary to have something. So environment art, and I sometimes talk like, this needs to be like round maybe, and this should be like square, because then you can correlate these to different things instead of having like this is green, this is blue, because you can't really see that. And something I push very hard for is subtitles, because a lot of people are hearing impaired. I mean, the first Assassin's Creed didn't have subtitles, for example. That's not very good. But I think they fixed that after. So good job, Ubisoft.
I've mostly been working in mobile games, and there's just not that much that you could do. Of course, like the being colorblind. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and trying to not use colors that would be mixed up with colorblind people. And at Rovio, we actually had a couple of people at the company that were colorblind, so that was really, really helpful. They were like, yeah, do this. So like that's it was very helpful to have people there. But and in other companies that we worked at, we've been thinking about that and acting on that too. But other than that, not really. But I think that's mostly also because of the medium, like the mobile, like you. There's really not that much you can do. It's hard enough to just make a fun game on it.
This is something that I am very self-conscious about, but not something that I sort of know how to implement. As I said, I work all by myself, and especially like colorblindness, because colorblindness is kind of like, it's still very possible to play a whole game. It's just a little bit annoying when something important becomes invisible. And I as an artist, I feel like I have failed. If this thing that I thought was really clear apparently wasn't, because my eyes were not like that. And they're like, I'm thinking about having like post-processing filters that emulate colorblindness, so you can sort of see how your game looks from there are different types of colorblindness. But that's also like kind of a technical thing, and I'm not really that interested or skilled in like fixing specific issues like that. My programming process is mostly just jump off a cliff and hope for the best. So that's why I'm kind of worried about it, because I don't really feel that I have that much control. Kind of like you were saying too, like you think about it, but you don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I also came to think like maybe actually the people that I work with actually have worked with that, but I'm the artist. I only think of the colors because that's what I can control.
Yes.
But now that I think about it, like. Yeah, we might have been working with that, but it's just that it hasn't been my responsibility, because my responsibility is the art, and it is the colors, and it is to everyone should get the art, and there comes colorblindness, and I need to have that in consideration when I'm making the art, so that's why I care about it. But
because another thing I'm thinking about, say that you only have one hand, because you've amputated the other one or something. If you're really interested in games and only have one hand, you have probably figured out a way to hold like an Xbox controller with only one hand.
Can I say something on that?
Yes.
Which is actually interesting. I usually, some of your students probably have heard me talk about this before, but it's just like, I think it's 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Bayonetta 2 got awarded for being the most accessible action game because of two things. It's the whole game is designed in a way so color blindness isn't a problem, and you can play the whole game with the stylus, which makes it a fully playable full action game with just one hand. Yeah, so it is doable.
I know. And also, I don't actually, when I think about it, I probably haven't made a game that you actually specifically need two hands for. But as I said, if you're living with a disability, you probably have figured out a lot of things yourself.
Yeah.
There are like apparatus for blowing into a pipe to control the game and stuff like that, which is really cool how that works.
Can I a thing that is awesome is to have key bindings be able to be changeable. Because a lot of people I actually have a friend who has trouble with mouse arm right now, and she loves games. So she actually made Overwatch so that she shoots with C instead of, so she only moves a little bit with her hand. Because she wants to be able to play and get better, but not have issues with her hand. So just that tiny thing will help tons.
We actually had, just a few weeks ago, some guy emailed us and said, because you can customize almost most of the keys in Secrets of Rangia, but you cannot rebind the attack button and the shield button. And some guy emailed us and said I only have I play with my feet, and it's really inconvenient for me that I can't rebind these keys. So after that we're it's a bit of it's up to Teddy to do it. So and it's a bit of a headache, I guess, to make those keys rebindable. But it is something that since we got that feedback, it's definitely something that we want to change. Will change. But I can't really say that it's speaking about color blindness and something. It's not something that we have been super conscious about when we designed the game, which is a bit of a shame. But once you get feedback from people, then you're oh, there's actually people that are suffering from this. Then we really want to fix it, of course. So once you get the feedback, it's easy to motivate yourself to oh, maybe we should do something about this.
Thank you. Next two questions is probably more aimed at Karin and Maria. For each company, what would they want to see in a graphic artist's portfolio? And I think this question always comes up, and it's always being covered, but just to give a short summary of it.
Did you attend the talks today? Maria's talk yesterday. Should I start? Do you want to start?
I think we said quite a few similar things.
Yeah.
You start.
Maybe we can just because it was at your company, or what was it?
For each company, what would they want to see in a graphic artist's portfolio?
The one thing that is very, 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 very important is style, and that's when. I've been working in companies where style is very, very important, and it's. If you're doing something stylized, you need to know that the artist that you bring in will be able to adapt to that style. And if you you would want to see that in the portfolio, and at least you would want to see hints to that in the portfolio, and then we can ask you for an art test or something. But we need to know that that you will be able to adapt to the style that we have, because it's very hard to teach people that. It's way easier to bring in someone that is is starting out and is a junior and nails the style, but doesn't really know Unity or doesn't really know any technical things. We can teach you that. It's not that hard. But teaching someone style and taste, it's extremely hard. Or it takes a lot of time. It takes years in art school. We don't have that time. Teaching someone Unity is a month. Teaching someone art and style and taste is a year.
It's a lifetime.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we would want to know that you're able to adopt that. So if you're applying to a company that you know what they're doing, make sure that you have at least something in your portfolio that is kind of aimed at that style. That will pique the interest of the person reviewing your portfolio. And if they're not satisfied with that, then maybe you can ask for an art test guy see it more for themselves. But you need to have something that piques the interest.
I'm just gonna focus on 3D because I'm not into 2D that much. I'd say if you want to work with games, make your renders in real time. It doesn't matter if it looks awesome in 3D Studio Max, Maya. It matters if it looks good in Unreal or Unity or Marmoset, maybe, but it's even better if you get it into the right engine. Half my talk was modularity yesterday, so modularity, definitely. Please show me your wireframe, because that gives me an idea that you are not shy of showing that you know what you're doing, and that you are precise and do not have any n-gons or excessive edge loops that are not needed. It's a bit more, I don't want to talk over your head, but I think it's a bit more technical when you're a 3D artist than if you're a 2D artist. Also state what softwares you've used, because most companies, I think, if you're an environment artist, you can build either in Maya or Max or Blender as long as you can export an FBX or an OBJ file. But if you can't do that, or it's going to be a problem. If you're making characters, that might be a problem because you're going to skin and rig the characters in some kind of program, and it's harder to flip rigged characters from one program to the other. Other concrete tips. Take away the bad stuff. Take away the stuff. Bad is a bad word, I agree with you. Take away the stuff that you think you're not sure of, I'd say.
If it's not at the same level
Yes.
as anything else, then it should be
Yeah,
going
and
at.
that was something we both talked about, because as you said, you want to show that, well, I know a bit of ZBrush, or I know a bit of whatever, but all I can see is maybe you're sloppy, maybe you're lazy, maybe you don't have a sense of style or something, and it's sad, but that's how it is.
Can I fill in on something on the 3D thing?
Yeah,
From
sure.
a mobile perspective?
Of course.
If someone applying to as a 3D artist to a mobile studio, it's extremely important with the wireframes. It's extremely important to see, as you said, if people are sloppy. But one thing that's also important is see if they could we use this thing in a mobile game, because the AAA high-end things could never be used in mobile games, and there is some tricks that you use in mobile, how you to get away and to make great art without textures, and making great art with very little things. And that's if you're applying for a mobile studio, you should have something that shows that, hey, I know what platform I'm aiming for. If you're applying to AAA, if you're applying to high-end companies that do really nice 3D stuff, then you have one type of thing. But if you're applying to a mobile studio, you can't have ZBrush sculpts, because we can things like normal maps and something that's not really used. We have other solutions for our 3D models, and learn those things and show that, hey, I know how these things are done.
Can I?
Maybe we should move on to another question, but if you can make it quick.
we talked to a few students earlier, and someone said, "Oh, what if I do something in a similar style that what you're doing at your company? Would that be great?" Yes, that would be awesome. Especially if you mail us and say, "Hey, person at company X, I saw that you were doing, say Rovio, for example, since you've been there. I did something that I thought was your style." Just for you. That means you care about the company that we are working on and that you really want to be there. So it shows dedication just for the company and that you get the style. Good thing.
And just for the sake of it, it wasn't a question, but I think it would be interesting to hear, Olaf, what do you think Coder's portfolio should contain? Or any tips regarding?
Sure, yeah, very lightweight. For example, maybe let's say you make a game, something, have a video, and have a code snippet. Nobody will read your code. It's going to be too much. And then you look at that, you're like, oh, here's something, and it's a game, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe you can even download the game and play it, or you can download the source code if they are interested in it. If they're interested in you, they will give you a work sample, and you will do the work sample, and you will do based on the work sample. That's it.
Cool, thank you.
I have heard that a lot of companies, when you ask a programmer to work there, just to sign contracts, would say that you can't show code to anyone else. The code that you're working on is strictly company-based, and you can't even show snippets of them. Is that true, or how do you deal with that?
So the question is it true that if you do a work sample, that you aren't allowed to show it to anyone?
You mean the work sample you get from the company that you're applying to?
Oh, no, that you're working at a company.
Yeah.
You write code for that company. You can't show that code.
Of course not, no.
Not even snippets.
Because everything you do at the company is owned by the company. So what I'm talking about now is something that you do on your own, not something that you have done and has been released.
Same with art.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it hasn't been released, you're not allowed to show it. If it has been released, you either use the things that are like marketing things, or you use like screen grabs of the game, or you just get you do like your own pretty presentations, and someone godkänd. What is that?
Approve.
Yeah, someone will approve it for you.
Also, if you're unsure, ask your boss.
Yeah.
All right, if you could change one thing about the current game industry, what would that be?
Change it. Why? It's good. Yeah, what's the problem? Come on. We make games, we make money. What else do you need? Yeah, seriously, dude.
Okay, all of this okay with status quo?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there are a lot of things.
Hey! Please present yourself.
My name is Aydin Afsoud. I'm a game designer at Machine Games, actually. And I'm also from Best Year. So if I could change one thing about the games industry, not the industry itself, but gaming as a whole, is the whole super ultra toxic, backwards striving Gamergate thing. It's not good for games, it's not good for gamers, and it's not good for game developers. That's the last few years. Like, there's talk about the indie apocalypse and the AAA apocalypse, like everybody loses and stuff like that. But I think the most damaging thing in games during the last years have been the whole Gamergate, death threats, the whole polarization and stuff like that. So if I could change anything, wave a magic wand, I would make that disappear.
I agree with everything you said. So yes, and also crunch. It's a bad thing. I don't believe in it. I don't think we need it. I think there are planning issues. If you have to crunch in a game, maybe you should hire more people or extend the duration of your project. I know that a lot of people disagree with me, but I think it makes a bad culture that you should work more to be better, and the ones who work the most are the best. Not everyone can work that much, and you shouldn't have to work that much. We are all people that have other interests, and we have families, we have kids. I don't, but I want to in the future, and I don't want to miss their childhood because I'm working with games. And I should have the same salary as someone who's working overtime on their own thing. Crunch should die.
If you don't like crunch, have you tried this new thing? I think it's called focus mode. Haven't you tried?
I have nothing to add to this. I will second the Gamergate thing. It's been very, very toxic. And being a woman in the industry during this time has been it's been very challenging at times, and you have not known who you can trust, and it's just very, very toxic. And stop doing that. And like just if you are going out and just becoming the new part of the game industry, just like bring good vibes with you.
Yeah.
Bring love, bring everything that you love about this industry. Don't focus on don't bring any toxic environment, because we don't want that.
Yeah.
So I have some gripes that are not specifically about the game industry itself, but are more about like industrial capitalism as a whole. this golden cage that we have built for ourselves, this whole relationship between employer and employee, and who has ownership over like the means of production and the result of the production, the product itself, which sort of we get in this situation where profit and efficiency is sort of the only thing you can measure and the only thing you can measure value in, which means everything gets poisoned by money, your love, your enthusiasm, your free time, your time. Like if you're working for an hourly salary, you're working on, you get paid by the hour basically. You are basically, what you are selling is hours of your time, right? You're not selling a product, you're not selling a thing that you made, you are selling the time that you have in your lifetime. And that is kind of bizarre when you start thinking about how that works. Which is also kind of why I have sort of removed myself so much from, like I'm working by myself on my own project, so I don't have a boss and I don't have anyone else owning my stuff. I also don't hire people, so I don't own anyone else's stuff and I'm not buying anyone else's hours. And I might figure out a better way to live within this system as the years go by. Or I would just sort of start some sort of proletarian revolution or something. I don't know. And this is the industry, game industry suffers from this obviously, but like the entire sort of world suffers from this. So.
Do you own the music in your game?
So the question was, do you own the music in your game? Yeah.
I do not. Someone else is making the music. I'm not paying for that guy's hours. I'm paying for the final MP3 files that he sends to me, which is very important distinction to me. I freelance a lot, as I said, and if I were given the chance, do you want to get paid by hour or get paid by like when you deliver, when you make the delivery? I always choose delivery, even if I would probably have made more money working each hour, but I can't live like that. So I was like, no, I'm gonna send you like a raw file with all the 3D models, and then you pay me for that, you know, because then you're selling more of a concrete product. And so my music guys, like, I can't call him up and say, hi, what are you doing today? He works whenever he sort of has the energy, or when sometimes he emails me in the middle of the night and like, hi, I made a thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I might try to learn to make my own music. This is kind of the weird sort of Socrates style, or sort of removing yourself from society and start growing your own food and stuff. It's pretty radical and kind of difficult, but I have learned how to code, and I might learn how to make music in the future to sort of remove this problem. Or not, I don't know.
Well, this is a tricky question, being the last one to answer, because I can only like echo what you guys have been saying. Like people, like I wish there were more diversity, like in games and like behind games as well, because I feel that would only make games better. You would reach like a broader spectrum of people, and then I would just like more love in the industry, people being nice to each other. I feel like that's what I would like to see.
I actually have something as well.
Woo! Please introduce yourself.
So I'm Robert, and I'm a co-founder of the indie company First and Squeezed, and I was a part of making Defined. And so, in addition to everything else that's been said, it's really like sad and frustrating that there are publishers that are looking to take advantage of indie companies and scamming people with contracts, and there's like a whole business with just scamming indie companies because of their inexperience. So, you know, that can go away.
Great, you can stay for the next question, because I think this works for you as well as Nicholas and Fred. Do you have any advice for startup developers trying to create a company?
Don't do it.
Say that.
Is that the two best advices you have? Don't do it.
I have some advice. When you start a company, make sure you realize that having a company is not, you know, there has to be a person that doesn't make games in the company. There has to be a person that does everything but make games. So if you're like 6 friends who's made a game and you're super excited and you create a company, you know, one of you aren't gonna be making games, probably. Or you can just find someone that's, you know, understand games and are passionate about games, but they really are like business minded and want to make a business that works. Cause, you know, you have to go to like all events and mingles and, you know, find people that like your game, find publishers. And so it's really important to have someone that at least really likes to do that. And not just likes to, you know, it's a business. Yeah.
So, what a company is, like the one thing that you need a company for is to pay taxes, right? If you have an income, then you need to pay taxes on that. And that's great. I mean, I think on the whole, taxes is a pretty clever idea that we have developed as a race or whatever, as a species. But it's kind of a cumbersome thing to do. It's not a very effective system. As a game developer working with effectivizing and making system user-friendly, I don't think that our taxing system is particularly well designed. It's very difficult and it's frustrating because if you do it wrong, you have to pay a penalty. So they sort of have an incentive to make it extra complicated so that they get a lot of money from penalties of people who screw up. But you need to pay taxes and you need a company for that. That's kind of the only thing you need a company for, though. Probably people who actually like companies are going to tell you about contracts and safety and shit, but I don't like that, so I don't use it for any of that. I only use it to have a communication with the tax agency or whatever they call it. So my company right now doesn't really have a name. It's like my social security number. I have an organization number. I only ever use it to pay taxes. It doesn't have anything to do with like what I do. Also, since I talked about how no one ever teaches you how taxes work, I can maybe talk a little bit how taxes work. So an important thing is that in the beginning of the year, you tell the taxing agency, this is how much income we're going to have this year. And then you pay money to them every month as if you have that income, which is a pure guess on your part. And then so if you say that you're going to make 100,000 or 200,000, you're going to have to pay taxes for that, whether you make money or not, which is tricky if you're selling a game or even if you're making a game, because you have kind of, especially the first time, like the first year, you have absolutely no idea of guessing how much money you're going to make. And the thing is, the tax industry kind of knows that. They know that the first year companies are gonna not have a very accurate prediction. So you can lower it because it's easier to pay less taxes than you have to pay a lot of taxes. And do declarations on time. I'm thinking about getting a person to help me with my declarations and my taxes. Because it's something that you get stressed out about it because it's very simple in theory, but in practice it becomes kind of difficult to fill in all these forms and do all the paperwork.
Yeah, we actually do that. We have a
You have a person for that.
We have a declaration tax guy.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, I don't trust other people, which is my it's easier for me to just learn to do it myself than to communicate with someone. But I'm gonna try to overcome that because the reward is I might not have to do my own taxes in the future. But that's what a company is. A company is an interface for paying taxes. That's kind of how I see it.
Great summary. Okay, so... Oh, sorry, Fred.
A short answer. I would really urge people to keep a company as small as possible, at least when you start out. Like it all depends. It's super circumstantial, but like start out small and like make yourself bigger from that point onward. Would be like my one.
I agree with that. I agree with that as well. Speaking from experience, seven people, it's too many.
And I said my biggest mistake was trying to make a big company.
Yeah.
A too big a company.
I think that we're just 3 people, and that has really helped us a lot. If we would have been any bigger, yes, 4 people might have worked, and 5 people, I think, just economical problems, but also just decisions within the company would make it trickier.
Daniel, please.
Keep your burn rate low.
Keep your burn rate low is the answer.
What is the burn rate?
The money you spend over a given time.
Yeah.
Say a month. So that means fewer people. It's easier to scope up than to scope down.
Yeah. So that's a great segue, because I think I want to call Daniel to the seat for the next question, actually, because this one can get heated. This is going to turn into a ballroom blitz. And it's a long question. All right, so which VR solution is the best, and for what reason? Which VR solution do you think would have the biggest market impact, comparing between mobile, like Gear for instance, low-end consumer solutions, like the PlayStation VR, high-end consumer rigs, like the Vive, and exclusive experience, like Star VR? Fight!
Can I start?
Yeah, sure.
I would say that all of them are good. And the thing is that they're good at different stuff. There's some experiences that I could not get at the Oculus that I could get at the Rift. No, that I could get at the Vive. And they're all so different. At this time, all of them are so different. So you can't really say like this one is the best because there's really great things about all of them. But the one that I think will get the most, will make the most difference, are the either the mobile or the PlayStation one, because those are especially the mobile. Like if we can get everyone really excited about mobile VR, then they would go out and get like kits for the high-end VR. Like it has to start at a consumer level.
Like an entry drug.
Yeah, exactly. We need that entry because it's at least right now all the high-end kits are really expensive, and they require really powerful computers. So if we should get people excited about the small solutions, and then we just can amp it up. And because the thing about VR is that you have to try it to know that it's fucking amazing. You can't get that explained to you. You have to try it. So as long as we have something that makes people try it, which would be mobile or PlayStation, then then it's gonna make a big difference.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next between Olof and Daniel?
I second that. Accessibility is a thing, and there was a slide in my talk where there was a graph of like market adoption in relation to release date. So after the Xbox release, there was a certain percentage of adoption per month or per year or whatever. And then you look at cell phones or smartphones specifically, and it just skyrockets. Everybody has a smartphone, and it's a more universal platform in that sense. So even then, like the Vive is a massive, cool platform that you can do really cool stuff with. But the smartphone stuff is where you get the masses, which is then the entry point drug, if you will, to what might come later. I'm also thinking anything where the platform incorporates into your everyday life rather than something you do specifically. So I'm saying something as easy as the Candy Crush on your toilet, but for VR, which then brings up that people see that, hey, this could work, and then you see something bigger. But you don't start with the Vive. You could start with the PlayStation if you have a PlayStation.
Exactly.
But you probably wouldn't fork out 20,000 Swedish kronor just to try something and see if it's for you. Like that, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But then again, the Vive and the Oculus is probably excellent for any place that could fork out a bigger upfront cost and then rent it out to people. I'm thinking entertainment centers or company resort type stuff. Like that's not a huge market yet, or maybe ever will be. But that's where you introduce the high-end stuff to new consumers as well. So they definitely have ups and downs on both sides. But again, like this is pre-market. We are right now today pre-market, and we know that. But it's coming, we think.
Yeah.
That's what we're basing our business on.
We know.
I think you and I want to know, and we genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to convince you guys, or not maybe you guys, but the others, that is the case, which I genuinely believe.
Okay.
Do you know who I am?
I think the main point here that we're all trying to say is that we want VR to be out there with everybody, right?
Yeah.
And unless you have tried it, like you said, you don't know what it is. You have to step inside and get the experience to actually, know what the feeling of being inside there, because it is all about the feeling and the atmosphere and everything. So yes, I think it's great that you have a variety of price ranges. Because it's not always about the headset, it's about the content as well, and that's actually most important, right?
Absolutely.
But so it's great, buy something, and not everybody has the space to buy a Vive. Not everybody can afford one as well, but the more it gets out there, the better. And when you know what it is, that's when you can go to IMAX VR centers, and that's when you can get the best possible experience you can possibly have, right? And that's what we all want in the end.
And what is that?
Well, we will see.
Is it possibly Star VR? Maybe? Is it? It could be.
I mean, like I said, in the end, it's all about the content.
Yeah.
Right. You have no good content, then you have nothing. It doesn't matter if your headset is the most technically advanced or whatever, mid-range PlayStation VR or whatever. You need good content. So go out there and make VR games.
Yes.
Do it.
Can I say something about VR as a bit of a counterweight to that? I am personally profoundly uninterested in
I second that.
It's really cool, and I totally love that the technology works. It's really cool how it works, and I have tried some things myself, so I'm not like completely prejudiced, biased, whatever right now. It is in many ways a new way of playing games, but it's mostly a new way of sort of experiencing games. This word experience keeps popping up all the time. I think that's a lot to do with who I am as a person. I've never really been interested in this sort of intense emotion or intense sort of feelings or sensations. Like I've never been interested in like fast driving or skydiving or tasteful food or anything, right? No, really. Like, I'm not a person who enjoys this sort of. I mean, like having like a warm bath with candlelight or something like that.
Who are you now?
That's not something that I have ever been particularly interested in, and that's kind of what a lot of VR is offering. And so in my perspective, it's kind of like humans have been sort of telling stories and entertaining each other for as long as there have been humans, and like the technology of the book hasn't involved. Book binding and printing hasn't involved much in 100 years, and that's still interesting. Like I still love books, right? So for me, like the cutting edge of tech has never been something that I go to for what I like to sort of get out of games or books or movies or anything. So I'm probably gonna take a long while before I buy a VR set of any kind, or even like get excited about trying anything.
Right.
Maybe you want to go to a center instead.
What sector would you?
But in my head, you kind of seconded. In my head, you seconded what Olof said. It is a medium rather than a content, and it is an interface for you as a consumer to interact with the product, but it is actually still a game that you are interacting with, probably. So it is still about the content. It's VR is in some ways dressing, and in some ways a new interaction and experiencing method or interface, but we are still talking about games here, and they still need to be good. They don't become good because they are in VR. Probably the opposite.
I mean, when you go to the cinemas, we started getting like 3D glasses. Yeah. That didn't make the movies better.
No, exactly. Exactly. Yes,
I mean, it's pretty cool. I will take on glasses if they give me one, because otherwise it looks kind of weird. But because it makes the movie better.
Right.
You need good content.
And then the thing is, I can definitely say that when I look at 3D movies at the cinema, maybe they are a bit cooler, but they are not necessarily better. And I think that's where you need to find the balance. You still need to make a good movie or game or whatever you're trying to make, but the medium can dress that up more nicely.
Because this is new as well.
Yes.
So the first thing people do is that they make a game and they be like, oh, you're inside it, so let's look around. And it's like, oh, it's not that fun, what do we do else? So people are still exploring what to do.
Yeah.
It's just starting out. And also the fun thing about this is that the equipment also is changing. Everybody wants to add more stuff, more interactivity. Things, not just a headset or controllers. Maybe they could be like objects. You can actually pick up, physical objects too. This is just going to keep on becoming more advanced all the time, and you will see all kinds of cool technology popping up everywhere that we are using. So 5 years from now on, who knows?
Right. Yeah. And look back at, say, the Oculus Development Kit 1 era of games. Most of them were like either horror games, which was a strong feeling, or like a extreme sensation, or roller coasters, which was another extreme sensation. But that's what in my head of what I looked at, what I could find at that time, was the majority of products. They were extreme sensations rather than good games. And we are slowly moving towards understanding how to make games in this medium rather than make cool experiences.
Yeah, I would say it's very recently that it's actually like coming out games that are games.
Yes.
That are like games you want to play, that you wanna be in for a longer amount of time, and that you actually like you treat as a game, and they couldn't exist without VR. One really good example is Eagle Flight that came out like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's that game would not work in normal games or normal media. You wouldn't be able to do that game, but it's still a game. It's not an experience. Can play it as long, play for really, really long, and want to get the achievements, and it's really, it is really just recently that we're getting games, because everyone is needed to get the experience out of the way first.
Right.
I remember the first time I tried the Oculus with a Xbox gamepad, like you said, it was pretty crap. I mean, come on, it was just like, whatever. But then the motion controls came, and you were picking up a gun and shooting and stuff and touching, and I was like, whoa, dude, this is kind of cool. And then the HTC Vive with moving around in an environment that's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We're getting there.
All right, so we still have a few minutes left, so we open up for questions from the audience, if you have any. One in the back, yeah.
To continue on this VR thing, isn't VR a bit exhausting for a person to do?
Sorry.
A motion game, with the Xbox Eye and the Wii, then people that has of playing those because it's too much of an effort.
Sorry, so if I repeat the question, so the question is VR too much of an exhausting experience? Is that? Yeah. Physically exhausting.
Mentally, maybe. I think that maybe. I mean, like this is still, as I said, you've probably heard about motion sickness, which happens usually when you're not controlling the camera, right? But I think from the last research I read, usually it's good to have about 20 minutes of gameplay. If you have more, if you go beyond that, it could be exhausting. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind when you make a VR game too.
Yeah.
Or a movie, a VR movie, or whatever.
Yeah. I was definitely second that. That is mentally exhaustion, not physically. And you mentioned the V, but it's you can't. I don't think you can compare those two because the V only had like really. Moving around games.
And
like
that's
like it's just a heavy thing, and you moved around a lot, and that was the only experience that you had with that platform. While in VR, like there's a lot of games that is just doing this. It's not exhausting. There's a lot of vibe games that it's not that much moving around. It's just you standing, and then you crouch, and then you stand up, and then you it all depends on the experience, like the RPG game they're making, and it's they're more exhausting mentally.
Right. So average session length things that we've been public about have been our fishing game, which is a very calm and nice experience with not very taxing things happening. It's very chill. And we land around 15 to 20 minutes on average session time. And we are actively looking for that. You should keep that in mind, right? That's where the few numbers that are out there seem to point towards that. So design your games around that for now, and maybe try to move, if you want to move forward, move longer than that, but also be careful with that. You don't want to build an experience that requires more than what is comfortable for the user. And that might change also with new technology and better tracking and less taxing for the eyes. We don't know yet, it's too early.
I forgot to tell you that I have a few fortune cookies left, so everybody who asks a question gets a fortune cookie. Yes, the man in the back.
20 minutes of gameplay? That doesn't sound like a viable industry. That sounds like a gimmick to hopefully sell hardware. Then how are you selling 20 minutes of gameplay as a viable industry?
Right. So the question is, how do you sell experience that are only 20 minutes long as a viable industry? Was that? Yeah. Okay.
Can I start?
Yeah.
This is where we are right now, and so you could look at sci-fi books that have Ready Player One or stuff, or books like that, which are based around living in a virtual environment, and you have to just take care of your physical body for the world to lie. I don't think that's the future. That to be the future, but the session length right now means that we have to make. That's at a time, right? And you're playing Candy Crush on your phone and your bathroom for 3 minutes at a time. And we don't really know how often you might come back. Maybe you take a 20-minute break and make lunch, and then you come back, and then we don't know yet. I don't know, at least. So I don't think we need... It's early. It feels like a cop-out, but like...
It's a viable cop-out.
Okay.
What else answers that was his viable cop-out.
No, but it's really right about that. Like the session time of 20 minutes is not the same as the game time of 20 minutes.
Right.
For example, again, Eagle Flight. You can't play it for more than 20 minutes. It's kind of exhausting, even though it's really, really, really well made. But you come back to it again and again and again, and you play 20 minutes every day or 20 minutes like in intervals. So I mean, it's that's not really the same thing. And also, as you said, all mobile games, they have like 3 minutes. We had I worked on Angry Birds 2, and we were like, people should be in the game and be able to do something in the game within a minute, because that's pretty much what people have. Because that's because after that they're done at the toilet, or their bus stop is there, and they need to get rid of the phone and leave the bus. So we need to aim for like 3 minutes, but it's probably just gonna be 1 minute, and that was a session.
Yeah.
But
go on.
What? I mean, you're talking about toilet and bus. Are you using your VR headset?
Exactly, that was my point. That was what I was going to say.
Yes.
So VR is usually we define it as an appointment gaming, where the user decides to put it on, and I said it in my talk as well. Like, I'm looking forward to retention driving games, a la Farmville of early Facebook, where you have meaningful things to do for, let's say, within the time span of 20 minutes, but you come back, and the driving factor of coming back is that game, your specific game. I'm looking forward to that, which is kind of what Facebook, what Farmville was at that time. You had a limited amount of actions, and a lot of games are still based around limited amount of actions per day, and you come back. And I think that translates very well in VR.
And I think
also, I'm really looking forward to the future where we have VR at the toilet. It's gonna be
VR ready bathrooms at IKEA tomorrow. Yeah. No, I just wanted to add in on that as well. Like, just to clarify, we're talking 20 minutes game sessions, not necessarily 20-minute games.
Right. We can only track within our app.
And then 20 minutes is like an average, it's just like what most people tend to be able to play.
That's
could be more.
a big match.
20 minutes?
No way.
You don't win 20 minutes. I win 20 minutes every time.
Right, but that is a quick match in League of Legends.
Yeah.
Which is also appointment gaming.
But who plays one match?
Sorry.
I mean, if you finish the match in 20 minutes, then you're gonna...
Sorry, only one question per person. Down in the back. Who wants a fortune cookie?
I really gotta know. The 7 mistakes?
Yeah, what are the 7 mistakes?
No, I don't know why you called it the 7 mistakes, because that was not the point. That was
I thought that...
I was just saying a couple of things that are... no, it's gonna be kind of hard for you starting out. That was hard for me starting out. That was hard for a lot of people that I know starting out. And just nailed it down to just a couple of things. And then I said something that this is the only thing that you're gonna have a problem with. So it's gonna be great. Other than that, but it was not the 7 mistakes. It was 7 hard things, 7 difficult things.
There's one over there.
Fetch.
So, what do you think about game research? Do you know people who are doing game research? And are you using game research in your job?
So the question is, are you using game research in your daily work or at your work?
Yes.
What kind of game research? Is it just like
researching like
academic
play, how people play?
Oh, researching how your players play?
Yeah, technology, like
yes.
Yes.
All the time, coming from mobile.
Yeah.
Only thing we do. There's people at all mobile companies that has the only thing they do is they look at data and they analyze data.
But externally from the company, so not
company employees.
But what do you mean by that?
Academic research. We have a new person on the seat.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself.
Robin Powell, I work at DICE. So the 2 common researchers we have is a data analyst and a game user researcher. A data analyst is more quantitative, where they look at telemetry, which I talked about in my talk earlier. that's basically, you know, tracking the player's behavior. You guys all know this because we already talked about it. The other is the game user researcher, where it's more qualitative, focusing on actually interviewing players, looking at the players, how they behave. It's more personal and one-to-one. It's probably the easiest way to break it down. I don't know if you want to ask a follow-up question, but yeah.
One final question. Oh, Håkan was first. Okay, all right. Answer first then.
Yes. Super quick. I mean, in general, for my own growth, I look at research. It's not like company-based. It's just like, man, people do cool stuff and research things that I want to know, but I don't have time to research it. So Gamma Sutra is like my go-to place for everything, and GDC Balls as well. So that's good. Yes.
Nintendo Switch. Throw it on us.
Well, okay, so are you hyped? The question is, are you hyped about Nintendo Switch? Yay or nay?
I would say Jay. I think it looks cool, but I mean, I don't know if it would be like a smash hit or something. But I think it.
With Smash Bros, maybe. Oh.
I have owned a console in many years. My last console was like the GameCube or something. But then I saw the last trailer for Switch and I was like, holy shit, this is actually pretty cool. Like, this was the first time in a decade when I've seen it launching for a console. It's like, holy shit, this looks good to me. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped actually. Might even try playing on one month.
For the people who were bright enough in the morning to get to my talk, know that the defining moment when I started thinking about making games was with Zelda Ocarina of Time. So obviously, I'm hyped for the new Nintendo console because I want to play the new Zelda. But that's mostly it. Looks cool.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a hit. They need it.
I am super interested in Zelda. It's like the most defining game series for me. My games, I literally call them Zelda-likes. I am, however, not particularly interested in new Zelda because they have kind of gone in a direction a few games ago, like around the time of Twilight Princess, they started going off in directions kind of away from my interests. So I am actually interested in the Switch, despite Zelda.
Okay, thank you. Any final words from the panel that you want to give to the students in the audience? Like a final word, a guidance on their journey. What are your fortune cookies?
Give me a stick. Right? Be nice. Be humble. And just have fun. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it. But just be nice and be humble about everything.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Be nice.
Sorry.
No. Be nice. You're working with people, not computers.
Yeah.
Remember to work hard and be very ambitious.
Exactly. Yeah. Finish your stuff.
Yeah.
Don't cancel. Don't give up on games. Like, finish what you're doing. What?
Huh?
What?
No, don't go to talk to Finnish people. Oh, you can do that too.
No, but like, yeah, be nice to each other, work super hard, and I've never like been in the industry. I've only done like indie stuff, so I feel that it's super important to really love the project you're working on, especially if you're working on it for a long time. That love is really gonna help you when you're dropping in motivation. If you have a true passion for your game, you're gonna be able to like motivate yourself without like inspiration or motivation. So love what you do and work hard.
Also, remember, although I have all the love for the game industry and what you were talking about with the 7 hard things, it's all worth it because it's so much fun and you develop and learn and there are great people out there. Remember that it is a job. Because I had the idea that in the beginning that this is my life now and this is everything I am, and that's not true. It is a job, and sometimes, even though I love it for the most part, it can suck, and it's okay that it sucks. But it is a job, and you need the money, so you're not doing someone's charity. If you think you're underpaid for what you do, bring it up. Don't work for free. I did. I'm sorry. It's a job. And all the things you want to do that you can't do at your job, do at home. But remember, if you work for a company, it's a bit different, I guess, if you're doing it your own company.
Yeah.
But if you work at a company, remember it's a job. It's not a charity.
Make sure there's a rule.
I always sneak in. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Olof was actually talking.
Fine, whatever, man. I'm just gonna say that, you know, if you work hard and there's no reward at the end of the tunnel, there's no point to it. So, you know, have a goal in mind. You know, something to achieve. And you feel like, fuck yeah, I did this thing and now this thing came to me and whatever, you know. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. I just want to like echo what Robin said on his talk, like respect your free time. You will burn out super quickly if you just like have to work. You have to take some time off for your brain. Otherwise you'll burn out, and like burning out is terrible and it's very hard to bounce back from that. So really take some time off to cool off. Maybe you will get inspired from some random thing that happened to you in your free time as well. Yeah. Okay.
Any final words?
Don't crunch.
Don't crunch.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few years.
Yeah. Good. Woo! Best year. All right, so this, like seriously, this has been 3 amazing days. I hope you feel very inspired. Fuck it, I am inspired. And we have covered everything from like cutesy elephants to murderous clowns. And those of you who attended my first jam, remember that I said like game is like a family. And I think it has never felt more like a family than after these 3 days, I must say. So just a round of applause to everyone. Big thank you to our fine, renowned panelists and our alumni that held talks, and all other alumni that showed up as well here tonight, who didn't necessarily sit in the chair, but you know, nice you showed up anyway. So give a big round of applause for all our alumni who took time off to come and see us and spread their knowledge. And thank you in the audience as well. Thank you, Finn Engström, and big thank you to Håkan as well, who helped arrange all of this and running the show. Big thanks to everyone. And of course, thank you, Rindy, for, you know, letting us be in your bar. And yes. And just one final word. Remember that everybody is a beginner at some point. Thank you, everyone. One final thing. I have a fortune cookie left. Fetch. I also have a secret. I never was any good at sport, okay? And one final thing, please help out with the shares so we can get access to the bar. Thank you!